I grew my Spotify track from 20,000 streams to over 750,000 streams. And I'm going to show you how I outsmarted the almighty algorithm to do that. Because let's get one thing straight. Algorithms are not neutral judges of good music. They are just complex bits of code, and they got one main goal: keep people listening for as long as possible to maximize profit. And they do this by creating a smooth, non-stop listening experience. My name is Henry Clark of Senior Musicians Unite, where I provide tips, tricks, and info to help us seniors keep it moving in today's music industry. And today, I'm pulling back the curtain on the hidden biases that are sidelining senior musicians and show you how I outsmarted the algorithm to boost my streams on Spotify and other streaming platforms. But before I show you this, bear with me for a bit of background because that's important. Streaming, supposed to be the great equalizer, supposed to be a direct line from the artist of the fan, a world where only music mattered. But for generations of music legends and lifelong artists, these platforms have become digital fortresses with recommendation algorithms that are acting as gatekeepers. Like, you can't come in, and that's exactly where the problem starts for a lot of artists. To an algorithm, your song is not art, it's a data point, and its only job is to guess what someone wants to hear next. So it scans their user history, what they like, what they skip, what they put on repeat, and finds songs with similar digital fingerprints. And this creates what is known as a popularity bias. You can look up the popularity score of your tracks on this site here. See here what my popularity score of all the tracks on this video. The popularity score is important because it tells the streaming sites that a song is good or bad. And if your score is high, say around 25 or so, the more your song gets recommended. And the more it gets recommended, the more it gets played. So in essence, like everything else, the rich get richer. So if your music doesn't sound like what's already in the charts, or your artist photo doesn't look like a 22-year-old pop star, which of course is definitely not me, the algorithm quietly builds a wall around your catalog. It doesn't hate your music. It just has no idea what to do with it. And so your music practically becomes invisible. Let's be honest. If the algorithm isn't on your side, your life's work will be a single drop in a digital ocean of over 200 million songs. And then you got cultural bias. Yes, gender and race, but ageism is really the elephant in the room. The music industry has always been obsessed with youth. Now, that obsession is automated and scaled. Genres that often appeal to older musicians and listeners, like jazz or certain types of country or classical, are among the least streamed, which means they get buried by the algorithm. And I actually have a video that proves this from a data point. So, in my case, after mediocre streams of my music, I decided to use the algorithm's own logic against it. Didn't sell out, not changing my art. I'm just trying to be smarter than the machine. So in late 2023, I put out this great up-tempo song. I thought it was great anyway, And at first it did okay. The cover art I used, though, was a photo of me, the old guy here. And the song was solid, but it wasn't getting any algorithmic love. So I tried an experiment. I swapped the cover and my marketing video, and I replaced it with a clip of people dancing to the track. Nothing else changed, not the song, not the mix, not the title, just the old guy's picture and the video, and the results were absolutely stunning. Here's a clip here. I can't play the full clip, but I can play it with a beat so that I don't get a copyright strike. But this is what people look like in the clip. This song skyrocketed from 20,000 streams to over 220,000 streams in just a few months. And now it's just at 750,000 streams, and it's still growing. Why? Because by removing the visual cue of me, the older artist, I dodged the snap judgments of young listeners. And I realized that someone scrolling through a playlist might instinctively skip a track with a cover of an older person and automatically assume that ain't for me. And that skip sends a negative signal to the algorithm, so the song dies. So I figured, with a neutral-based cover and dancing video, my song had a chance to be judged on its own merit. Well, the algorithm saw people listening and saving and playing, and then it started pushing it into recommendation feeds like Discover Weekly and radio and mixes on Spotify and other stuff like that. And voila, song took off. Now, I didn't change the music, I just changed the packaging. I played the algorithms game. So I decided to test to see if this was just a fluke. I did it with another up-tempo track of mine, repeating the process, swapped out my photo, swapped out the marketing video with a video of people line dancing, and again, the results were outstanding. This track grew from 15,000 streams to over 650,000 streams, and this one also is still growing. I learned something. I learned the key to getting heard is framing that listening experience in a way that clicks with today's audience. I started speaking the algorithm's language. I also decided to use these clips in social media to drive people directly to my Spotify page, asking fans to follow, save tracks, add them to their playlists, and so on and so forth. And I even created my own playlist with just my songs. Look at the difference between the Spotify streams from the Spotify curated playlist that they made and my own playlist. The Spotify curated playlist only generated 16,000 streams over the last 6 months, whereas my own playlist that I curated generated 99,000 streams, and I just created a playlist in April. So what's the result here? Powerful signals that tell the algorithm that my music has value, and this scales the algorithm context, and it helps the algorithm figure out who to recommend your music to. And lastly, you got to invest in yourself, so don't be afraid of that. Targeted ads on social media can be incredibly effective. Even with a small little $5 budget, you can target your music directly at fans or artists or genres that fit your sound using catchy 30 seconds videos. And this introduces your work to an audience that's already primed to like it. So think of this as giving the algorithm a little nudge. You're feeding it that initial data. It needs to get that feedback loop started in your favor. This digital world we're in today can feel cold and calculated, and it is. And algorithms definitely have biases, but they're not your destiny. They're just tools. And any tool can be understood and used to your advantage. So by knowing how the algorithms work, being strategic with your packaging, and building a direct line to your audience, you can tear down that digital wall because your experience is not a weakness. It's actually your greatest strength. Check out this video on music streaming knowledge and what are some essential tools to help you make it in the industry today.